A warm welcome to everyone joining us from all over the world. We're here at the beautiful Slovakia Ring for race number 2 of the 2026 Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. We are done with race number 1. We've had plenty of fun, but we're ready for the second race here in Slovakia. It's the third round of the season, and what better way to start than with an exceptionally beautiful first race that we've seen earlier today on Saturday. Of course, we have 3 more races to go. It's time for race number 2 here with groups B and C ready to kick things off here in the Slovakia Ring. We've had plenty of sun throughout this first day of racing. Now it's a bit more cloudy. The temperatures are still quite hot, however, so tires degradation will be of utmost importance here at the Slovakia Ring. Let's talk about the starting grid for a bit. We've had great fun in qualifying yesterday, and Rechenmacher starts on pole position. The German racing race number 1 as well. He had finished on the podium, but of course a 10-second time penalty for him demoted him outside of the podium places. He will be very much eager to do once again a good job to finish in the top 3, perhaps even win race number 2. Who's going to be there to stop him, however? Well, Walther starts in second position. He has been phenomenal so far. This is his first race at the Slovakia Ring for this weekend, being in group number B, group C actually. He wasn't racing in race number 1. He is now in race number 2 and starts from second. Matilda Paz is in third place. She was in a podium place in race number 1 before contact with Rechenmacher put her out of contention for a podium. We'll see whether or not she can actually get one today in race number 2. And watch out for Max Karhan. He starts in 4th position. He is by far one of the most experienced drivers in F4 CEZ after plenty of experience in the last 2 seasons. Of course, he is one to watch for the win today. We're getting ready to start things off in race number 2. See you guys in a bit in the commentary booth, and see you guys in a bit for, of course, the deciding moments in race number 2. We're ready for the action to begin. Back in the commentary booth for race number 2 at the Slovakia Ring for Formula 4 Central European Zone. The third round of the championship brings us here in Orechova Poton for the second race, in this case, of this weekend. Groups B and C getting ready to battle it out on the racetrack, and that is why we have this specific starting grid. Rechenmacher starts on pole for Cram Motorsport ahead of Walther, with Matilda Paz and Max Karhan right behind. Antonio Rigo and Dean Pedersen form row number 3, with Erik Poulsen and Ella Hakkinen in 7th and 8th respectively. Francesco Piocoppola and Alexander Bogunovic in 9th and 10th. Let's not forget, however, that the top 15 drivers will get points, and therefore Igor Polak, Alexa Danielson, Jorge Luis Bruno, Miroslav Kepak and David Gorčica are also so far in the points-paying positions. Watch out for Andres Lobue, however, as the Jenzer Motorsport driver will be definitely ready to fight for the points, as well as Michalina Sabay. She was able to rise from 19th on the grid all the way up to 12th position in the final standings in race number 1. And therefore, we are getting ready for the action here at the beautiful Slovakia Ring. Cars are ready to go, as only the final few checks are being made at the moment on the grid. Naturally, of course, all eyes will be on the leading driver, Rechenmacher. He was by far one of the fastest in race number 1. He finished originally in second position, just a 10th behind race winner Teo Borenstein. However, a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision with Matilda Patz at the safety car restart demoted him outside of the top 5. The German wasn't happy with that, but the stewards blamed him fully for the contact that spun Matilda Patz out of a podium place and down into last position at the time being. Then she was able, of course, to recover back to the points paying positions, which was mighty good for her. This will be the first race for two of the championship hopefuls, David Walther and Max Karhan. Both of them have always been on the podium so far this season. That's something that championship leader Elia Weiss can also say, especially after second position in race number 1 here at the Slovakia Ring. So Walther and Karhan will have to keep that going. Walther won twice at the Red Bull Ring. Karhan took 1 victory in the final race at the Salzburgring in heat number 3. Therefore, all eyes will be on the two of them to challenge for victory today, with Rechenmacher instead looking to find his first taste of success, not just here at the Slovakia Ring, but in the season in general. Matilda Patz will instead be looking for that elusive podium. Is still missing this year. She had taken one home last season at the Red Bull Ring, and she looked mighty quick today as well in race number 1. So could this be it for the German, who is also in need of some points to qualify for the final race, race number 4, which will take place later this weekend on Sunday afternoon. So we have started the formation lap here at the Slovakia Ring. It is also a bit of time. We also have a bit of time to talk about the circuit, a 5.9 kilometer racetrack that boasts 14 corners, 7 to the right and 7 to the left, for what is a staple in the Central European Zone Championships calendars. Of course, F4 CEZ has visited the Slovakia Ring in basically each and every season. It is one of the most important race weekends of the season itself, especially with the FIA European Truck Racing Championship being alongside F4 CEZ and the GT Cup Series this weekend. There's also some endurance action going on with TCR European Endurance and GTC Endurance Challenge, the two championships promoted by Riza International, who are here this weekend as well. And then, of course, we have our wonderful single-seaters with F4 CEZ showing up here at the Slovakia Ring for the 3rd round of their season. Drivers are now coming towards the twistier section of the circuit. It is the 2nd sector, the one where the difference can be made, especially in braking zones and traction. That is the strong suit for these very nimble cars. They can have incredible speed, especially in slow corners and out of slow corners as well. As the cars now round out the final 2 corners to find their way towards the start-finish line. With Rechenmacher at the top of the field. He will be starting from 1st position, just in front of David Walther, with Matilda Patz in 3rd and Max Karhan in 4th position. Rechenmacher will be looking to go and fight for the win. That will be his first one this season. As we now see all the drivers lining up, we can also see the McLaren livery for Ella Hakkinen. She is starting from 8th position after showing off some great pace in qualifying. She has always finished in the points. A best ever result of 8th position in the opening race at the Red Bull Ring. Can she improve on that? We'll find out soon in around 25 minutes time, as the green flag has been waved at the back end of the field. We're getting ready to look at the action in race number 2 at the Slovakia Ring for F4 CEZ. The lights are off. We are underway, and it's not been a great start for Simon Rechenmacher, who is now already under attack towards turn number 1. It is Matilda Parts in the lead as we go towards the opening corner of the race. A phenomenal getaway from the German, and she is determined to turn luck around this weekend as she now leads just in front of David Walther in 2nd position. Simon Rechenmacher dropped a couple of places at the start. It wasn't the best getaway for him, as drivers now move towards turn number 3. Now Parts is under attack from Walther, who goes round the outside into turn number 3. The two are still side by side towards the twistier section of the circuit, and I think David Walther has taken the lead. Meanwhile, there's a 3-car crash involving one of the Renauer Motorsport entries, as well as Bennett Gaspar in the green 555 car. That's very unfortunate for him, who was also out during the formation lap of the opening race of this weekend. So we're definitely waiting for the steward's confirmation, but I think the safety car, it's safe to say, that will be coming out rather shortly. Meanwhile, here are the leaders with David Walther in 1st position. 2nd place for Matilda Parts. She was briefly leading, and as you can see now, the digital panel from the stewards telling us that the safety car is instead out on track. You can also see now from the graphics, as naturally we will be having a safety car reset in quite a bit of time. It is rather unfortunate for the 3 cars that we can see right now who are out of the race, and they look to be Bent Gaspar, Andreas Lobue and Alexia Danielson. Let's see if we can have a look at a replay. It was a spin between Lobue and Danielson, and then Gaspar, unfortunately for him, was collected out of nowhere basically after Lobue and Danielson made contact. He was pretty much a passenger by that point, so nothing he could have done there. It is a shame, honestly, for the 2 of them, and the 3 of them actually. Here you can see Lobue on the right and Danielson on the left. And Bennett Gaspar has actually managed to keep going, and that is great news for the 555 car. He was looking to race after having stopped on the formation lap of race number 1. And we're definitely happy to see him still in the race. Of course, Gaspar, one of the most experienced drivers on this grid, racing for Jenzer Motorsport. And the Hungarian is still in this race. Hungary will be one of the 4 nations that host at least one event for Formula 4 CEZ this season, as the Hungaroring will be the theatre of the season finale this year from the 23rd to the 25th of October. We've been in Austria for the first couple of rounds at the Red Bull Ring, and then at the Salzburgring last weekend. Naturally, we are in Slovakia this time around, and then we will be moving on to the Czech Republic with Most from the 31st of July to the 2nd of August, and then Brno from the 11th to the 13th of September. You can see now Andreas Lobue's car getting recovered from the marshals, who are also very efficient here at the Slovakia Ring. It was fantastic to see them work this hard, especially in races as short as F4s usually are. With just 25 minutes of running, it is crucial to have as much green flag racing as possible. And that is for both the drivers and the teams. We're now into Sector 2, of course, as the drivers are still behind the safety car. David Walther is the de facto race leader, with Matilda Paz in second position and Simon Rechenmacher in third place. Max Karhan is in fourth position, which is the place where he started this race from. Meanwhile, Dean Pedersen has risen to fifth, with Erik Poulsen in sixth and Antonio Rigo down to seventh position. It was instead a good start for Jorge Bruno. He's now eighth, with Ella Hakkinen and Alexander Bogunovic rounding out the top 10. This is, of course, a great chance for David Walther and Max Karhan to gain some points over their respective rivals who are absent from this race. That is, of course, championship leader Elia Weiss and race 1 winner Teo Borenstein. They will be back in action later this weekend, with race 3 happening tomorrow morning, where groups A and C will face off in the final heat, if we can call it that, before, of course, heading over to race number 4 in the afternoon, which will give us the final standings after this weekend. This is, of course, the third out of 6 rounds, so we're basically halfway through the season already, and we have found our 3 maiden championship rivals. Naturally, championship leader Elia Weiss is one of them, and David Walther and Max Karhan are the other 2, but of course we have plenty of other drivers fighting for that championship. Teo Borenstein, the race 1 winner, and Simon Rechenmacher are also there in the mix. Still quite early, with at least 9 races to go for everyone. It will be very hard for us to actually make some predictions by this point, but we can definitely see some trends. And for example, David Walther and Max Karhan never leaving the podium when they raced this season is definitely one of them. Karhan will have to work pretty hard to invert that, well, actually to stop this trend from inverting, as he is currently down into 4th, but he has plenty of time to go on the attack, as the stewards are now saying that the contact that took Lobue and Danielson out is under investigation. Or it's actually been noted by them. Of course, a contact that also collected Bennett Gaspar, but the latter was definitely a passenger and was not at fault. Meanwhile, the safety car, as you can see, has turned its lights off, and therefore we're getting ready to start this race once more under green flag conditions. It will be David Walther who leads the entire pack off into the distance. In race number 1, Borenstein waited until the midway point of turn number 13 to put the foot on the pedal. And you can see how long Walther is actually waiting to take this restart. This is Matilda Paz's worst nightmare almost, as this was the exact moment and reason why she was taken out in race number 1. Once again, she struggled a bit to find the right moment to follow David Walther, but we are back on the way, and the green flag is waved by the stewards, with David Walther leading the entire pack towards turn number 1. Matilda Paz has to defend the inside from Simon Rechenmacher, who looks to go around the outside. Who is going to be the bravest on the brakes? It looks to be Simon Rechenmacher, who tries to go around the outside, which is usually the way to go with Formula 4 cars around this circuit, given how much more speed you can bring into the corner. And in fact, Rechenmacher is now up into second. Watch out for Karhan, who will be hot on Matilda Patz's tail. But the same can be said for Dean Pedersen, who looks to the outside of Karhan. Pats was also to the inside of Rechenmacher, as the 4 drivers go side by side in pairs. Well, it looks to be Dean Pedersen now in 4th position, just in front of Max Karhan. Has Matilda Pats made the move stick? No, she hasn't. She is still into 3rd, behind Rechenmacher, who is instead now the prime suspect to go and catch David Walther. Rechenmacher did basically the exact same thing in race number 1, though that was with contact between himself and Pats, which is why she spun and he got penalized for it. Thankfully, none of this happened in race number 2. Meanwhile, David Walther still in front. He had a great getaway from the safety car restart, and therefore he was able to defend his position pretty effortlessly. The same cannot be said for Matilda Pats, who dropped from 2nd to 3rd. Meanwhile, Max Karhan is now under pressure from Erik Poulsen, and he has to defend from 5th position. Same can be said for Antonio Rigo, who has had contact, I think, with Jorge Bruno, as the latter seems to have front wing damage. As his front wing, yes, it's definitely hanging to the right, as behind him, Ella Hakkinen gets ready to make a move. The same can be said for Dean Pedersen, who is now looking to the outside of Matilda Pats. Can he make the move stick on the German driver racing for her own team, Matilda Racing? It looks to be that case, as Pedersen now moves into 3rd position and Pats is demoted down to 4th. Watch out for Max Karhan now, car number 144. As it darts to the inside into turn number 3. Will Pats lose 2 positions in 2 corners? The answer is a firm no at the moment, as Pats seems to have better traction of turn number 3. And that is the exact case, as she defends 4th position from Karhan. Dean Pedersen instead is still in front, as the 2 almost make contact into turn number 5. But it was good defending from Dean Pedersen, who has now moved into a podium place. And this will, of course, be a huge result for the American, who has claimed a 6th and a 4th position at the Salzburgring, his first race weekend of the season. He wasn't present at the Red Bull Ring, but the American has already left a good impression on the championship in those 2 races. Of course, fighting for his first podium this season. Same can be said for Matilda Pats, of course, as her best result was a 5th position at the Salzburgring. Meanwhile, we see Simon Rechenmacher trying to gain a bit of time over David Walther. The race leader looks to be under pressure now from car number 3. Meanwhile, we've heard confirmation from race control that car 76 has to enter the pit lane to fix the damage to its front wing, and that is, of course, as we said before, Jorge Bruno, the Argentinian. You can see now from the graphics as well, he has to pit to change that front wing and therefore lose all his advantage in this race. He was fighting for a 7th position, but unfortunately it didn't work. Meanwhile, fights are still ongoing for that final podium place, with Pedersen having to defend from Matilda Pats. She wasn't able to get the move stick this time around, and the same can be said for Karhan on her later on. So far, these 2 drivers fighting for 3rd position are definitely helping out Walther and Rechenmacher, who are starting to break away a little bit as we're now moving into the second half of this race with just 10 minutes and 35 seconds to go. A lockup from Matilda Paz, however, opens the door for Max Karhan. He isn't able to stick his nose up the inside far enough to stay alongside the German, but he is definitely much closer to her than ever before. And the same can be actually said for the driver in 6th position, and that is Erik Poulsen. Around the outside goes Max Karhan into turn number 13. As I said before, going to the outside with these kind of cars is actually beneficial, given how much more speed you can carry through the corners here at the Slovakia Ring, and which is why Max Karhan was able to make the move over Matilda Paz, who is now down into 5th position. But let's see who will be the bravest on the braking in turn number 1. And once again, the outside line could potentially be the best one. That's great racing between the two of them. A lot of space left once they were side by side, but once they weren't, Karhan was quick to shut the door on Paz's face. And Matilda now down into 5th, having to defend. Meanwhile, there's a car off into turn number 1 as well, but they're looking to rejoin the track without too many issues. So we're now waiting, here we go, to catch back up with our fight for 4th, which sees Max Karhan up into that spot and Matilda Paz having to surrender 4th position and slot back into 5th. Erik Poulsen staying very close to the both of them in 6th position so far. And once again, this has enabled both David Walther and Simon Rechenmacher to break away a little bit. The gap over Dean Pedersen is now 1.6 seconds, and Pedersen himself has 1.2 seconds of an advantage over Max Karhan. Rechenmacher has set the fastest lap of the race with a 2 minute 3 second .836. Meanwhile, we see confirmation of what I told you before about the under investigation for contact between Andreas Loebue, who is unfortunately out of this race, together with Danielson. Contact that also involved Bennett Gaspar, though the 555 car was able to rejoin the race after the contact and is now currently in 15th position. Meanwhile, we are with Hella Häkkinen. She is in 9th place, trying to get the better of Antonio Enrico, the Italian racing with car number 99, prepared by Technorace Competition. One of the fastest rookies of the series as well. Häkkinen is a rookie as well, therefore they are both doing a very good job to stay in the top 10. Experience with cars such as the Tatus F T421 is basically everything, especially given how difficult it is to eke out those final few tenths every single time in every single racetrack, and therefore experience is usually the way to go with cars like these. More testing and more opportunities to drive this car will make you faster, which is why it is fundamental for the drivers to get as much track time as possible. We only have 6 minutes and 35 seconds left on the clock. David Walther is still in the lead, but as you can see, Simon Rechenmacher has closed the gap quite a bit and is now glued to the back of Walther, as the Dane will have company for the rest of this race, presumably. This is, of course, all into Rechenmacher's favor, and the two of them fighting could potentially bring the pack behind to join them. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Dean Pedersen looks to be under investigation for a jump start, which would be all but ideal for him. This is not what he had planned, of course. Meanwhile, we see a fight involving Bennett Gaspar in that green 555 car. Around the final couple of corners, he is now up into 13th position. He looks to have some pace here as he fights for the points-paying positions. He's now up into 13th, overtaking Miroslav Kepak in car number 69 and Tobias Pasko in the number 33 entry, prepared by Yannick Motorsport, one of the best teams in the entire Central European Zone Championships. Here's confirmation of the jump start for Dean Pedersen. He is currently into 3rd position, but that could quickly change. And should he get a penalty, the entire podium positions could be switched. Speaking of switches, to the outside goes Simon Rechenmacher. A slight lockup for him on the front left as he looks to make a move on David Walther. I mean, it has to be said that Rechenmacher looks to have impeccable pace out there today. He seems to be the fastest driver out on track, as Rechenmacher looks mighty competitive in race number 2. He unfortunately fell short on his quest to claim yet another podium in race number 1. He had finished 2nd, but a 10-second time penalty demoted him outside of the top 5. He is definitely in the clear now for race number 2, and in these last 4 minutes, which means basically 2 laps, he will be trying his absolute hardest to make a move on David Walther. The two of them now go towards the first corner of the racetrack, and to the inside goes Simon Rechenmacher. The two almost make contact between the rear right tire of Walther and the front left of Rechenmacher, but Walther barely holds on to 1st position. Rechenmacher now takes all the slipstream in. Can we see a move into turn number 3? He looks to the outside. The two go side by side once more, and so do Pedersen and Karhan behind them, with Walther outbraking his rival, however, and keeping 1st position. Keeping Rechenmacher at bay won't be easy in the next lap and a half, but that's all that Walther has to do in order to claim victory, and that will be his 3rd win of the season after the 2 that came at the Red Bull Ring. On the other hand, Rechenmacher is dying to take that maiden victory this season, and he would fully deserve one, especially with the way he's driven in race number 2. So does Walther, of course, with exceptional defensive skills and great capabilities, especially at the safety car restart, to build a gap over his main rivals. We go into turn number 10 now, with Walther slightly wide into the corner, but that will be a bit more beneficial in the rundown towards the exit of the corner. As you can see now, Rechenmacher still glued to the back of Walther as we get ready to start the very final lap of this race. Max Karhan has moved into 3rd position in the meantime, and that is hugely important for the championship as well. Of course, Pedersen was and still is under investigation for an alleged jump start. Meanwhile, behind them, Matilda Paz is defending hard, but let's see if Rechenmacher can make the mistake on Walther. He can't into turn number 1, but he will have a much better exit from the opening corner of the racetrack. He now has the inside line over the hill towards turn number 2, and he has made the move stick, and into 1st goes Simon Rechenmacher at the very last lap of this race. Can David Walther do anything about it now? Round the outside into turn number 3. He is very late on the braking. Will Rechenmacher shut the door on him, however, on the exit? It looks like he will be doing so, but Walther has none of it and is still on the inside into turn number 4. The two are still side by side towards the 2nd sector, with Walther now having to go towards the outside in order to overtake Rechenmacher. but the latter is cool on the brakes and keeps first position and his rival at bay. What a phenomenal fight between the two of them. But I get the feeling this isn't over yet, as Karhan, behind in third, tries desperately to get closer to the action. But Rechenmacher has moved into first. He now has to protect the inside into turn 10. Rechenmacher goes to the outside. Will we see him move into turn number 12? No, we won't. As Rechenmacher holds on, this may well truly be another drag race to the finish. But usually the guy who's in first has a slight advantage, with the checkered flag being waved very early on the straight, as the start-finish line is right after turn number 14. We're going to the last couple of corners, and I think Simon Rechenmacher just has this one in the bag, provided he gets a good exit, which he does. This has been a phenomenal showing from Formula 4 CEZ at the Slovakia Ring, and it is Simon Rechenmacher who takes victory in race number 2. A phenomenal job from the German, who finally takes his maiden win in F4 CEZ this season. What an incredible fight with David Walther on the last couple of laps. You have to feel for the Dane. He did anything and everything he could to keep that position, but it wasn't to be for him, was it? In race number 2 here at the Slovakia Ring, he will have one more shot at the win, of course, in race number 3, but as of right now, it is Simon Rechenmacher who takes victory just ahead of the Dane, and in third place is once again Max Karhan, and therefore Walther and Karhan themselves are still with a 100% podium finish record this season, just like Elia Weiss. The championship leader finished second in race number 1, and Walther did the exact same in race number 2, with Karhan finishing in third, and the three of them will be fighting against one another in race number 3, which we will be seeing later this weekend, scheduled of course for Sunday morning at 9:25 local time. And then the final race of the weekend, race number 4, is scheduled to take place at 2:05 p.m. local time tomorrow here from the Slovakia Ring. That was definitely one of the most entertaining races we've seen this season. Once again, the Slovakia Ring providing great racing and fights all the way to the end. And by the checkered flag, it was Simon Rechenmacher who took the win, just in front of David Walther and Max Karhan, with Dean Pedersen in 4th position and Matilda Paz finishing in the top 5. Eric Poulsen, Alexander Bogunovic, Ella Hakkinen, Antonio Arrigo and David Gorshica are our other top 10 finishers, but of course the points paying positions are until 15th place. Therefore, 5 other drivers will score points, and those are Stefan Traneski, Igor Polak, Bennett Gaspar, Miroslav Kepak and Tobias Pasko. And that is everything for race number 2 here from Formula 4 Central European Zone. This championship is still wide open. See you guys tomorrow on Sunday for race number 3.